Everyone, welcome to another edition of Independent Artists Unite Song Series. Super psyched to find out more about Weyward today. Welcome.
Hey, good to be with you.
This I really love this. I mean, I would call it an album, but what makes it an EP or an album? Is 7 songs the cutoff?
Maybe seven. I think
Is
so.
it?
Yeah.
I don't
It
know.
de it depends on the streaming service, I think. I don't know.
Okay, yeah. Well, it really has like this album feel to it. I mean, I love the heavy vibe, of this whole EP. Um,
Yeah.
we chose to talk about dark today. You said that people seem to be picking up on that, but I just want to say in general, I just love this whole thing, man. It's like, yeah, I mean, it sounds like a soundtrack to a movie that like I want to shoot. As soon as I
Yeah.
hear the
No.
music, if I was a film director, I'd be like, now I'm getting some ideas.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
just
I
so many images come to mind, and it's um, such beautiful music. Um, I really love Light, and I really love Discovery too. Those are like my big ones besides Dark on there. But I want to you mentioned on Spotify there that you had this experience in a religious cult, and that's part of what um, is kind of fueling your creativity or a reaction to that and stuff. Can you tell us a bit about that background? I'm very intrigued by all that.
yeah. I mean, I grew up in a very strict religion. At this point in time in my life, I call it a cult.
Okay.
Many probably wouldn't, but I think when it comes down to it, every facet of some sort of like organized group of people can have cult like
Yeah.
um things, right? So
I'm not
yeah,
I'm
I
not a
mean
fan. I'm not a fan myself, so I'm with you.
yeah, so no, I grew up in that. I lived it for a really long time, and then you know you start to recognize and see things that just don't quite jive with your worldview.
Mm,
And for me, it was a lot of things that had to do with, I had a family, and I
mm,
started to recognize that with my family, what I believed with my family versus what I was being told, it just didn't jive, and I had to get away
mm.
from it. So
Interesting. Yeah.
yeah, stepped away from all of that, and you know, I think any time you have something that you live for a long time and believe for a long time,
Mm,
and then kind of give it up, there's some definite trauma with that. There's some
oh
definite
yeah,
like psychological issues with that. And
sure.
for a long time, I was like, hey, I'm all right, whatever. I can just move on. But there was always just something kind of like nagging in the back of my mind of like, I need to just I need to just get this out there and say things. And for me, it
Mm,
was like, got to do it through music, right?
mm.
That's where it worked for me. So
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, with all religions, I have to say, I guess there are some common denominators that are like certain like principles that I can get behind, but as soon as all the add-ons seem to be, it's just like humans, this is the human add-on for control, for power,
yep,
for uh
yeah,
for financial
for
gain, for
yep,
fill in the blank,
yep,
all these
exactly.
things that humans are prone to do to
Yeah,
each other.
yeah. I think a lot of things start out with good intentions, right? They start out with the right thought, the right intention. You want community, you want these
Mm,
people that are there with you.
yeah,
But money and greed will always find its way into these types of things.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, it's just a shame, really. Such a shame. But it's
Yeah.
interesting about the trauma. I've been thinking a lot about this lately. I almost said it right now. Well, I've had a lot of trauma myself, but I think we all do. This is like I've kind of stand by the idea that we've all had traumatic childhoods. You know, it's part of it's part of childhood. And but I was
Yep.
thinking about it that there's it's a gift. You know, I mean, I've had so much art come out of it too, and so many things where I was actually forced into some kind of spiritual um kind of evolution, or you know, or die, you know. And
Right.
so it was kind of like it's interesting to look back at all these traumas, or even your experience that you had as, oh, could that be a gift, you know, that you're now here, you are, you're making art, you're putting a different message out and stuff like that. um can you, do you see it as that? Like, you feel like, oh, this is just the way life is. This is a gift. I can just go on from here, or what are your philosophies about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I try not to hold on too much to past things.
Mm,
But I think you have to get some of that stuff out. But absolutely. I mean, this EP that I put together and put out recently, it's been something that I've wanted to do for a really long time as far as the music is concerned, right?
mm,
It's something that for years and years and years I've really wanted to make music like this, and it just
mm.
all kind of coalesced together recently to make it happen. And for sure, like I don't think I would have been able to do it without the trauma or the thoughts that I was having around this whole thing with growing up in that world. And um yeah, so I definitely think it's a gift because we wouldn't be talking right now. And this is
Yeah,
this is cool.
yeah, that's true. And this you're doing this all yourself, right?
Yes.
This, yeah,
Yes.
because I'm thinking it has that vibe to it too. I mean, it's really like there's like a solitary thing to the music where, yeah, it just sounds like something that's been made in solitude, and almost like in like a meditative place or something, you know. And it's just like its own world, you know. I think that's what I've always loved, that, you know. I mean, I was like, I'm a huge David Bowie fan, you know. uh and I've always loved that about him. He just makes these worlds, you know. I mean,
Hmm.
each album is like a new world, and I always loved that because, like, you know, uh I guess I've always liked going to, you know, different worlds than the one I've lived in, you know. It's a mode of survival as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean it's all just been me doing all the different instruments, writing, producing, vocals, which I haven't necessarily done in the past, but I decided to just you know, do it all myself this time. So
Oh, is that right?
it's been
Okay, that's
great.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yep. So,
Oh,
and yeah, very, very meditative. I mean, it's one of those things where I'd get to the end of a long day and be able to just sit down and relax and pull out the guitar or start thinking through something and just push everything else away. And it's just
mm,
it's just the music.
yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah. It's
yep.
interesting. I think I will enjoy listening to this a lot more now that we've talked a little bit, and I'm kind of understanding where you're coming from, because I think with the name and some of the images and stuff like that, and the description about the religious cult and stuff like that, is like, I just want to make sure that I'm not like doing dark magic on myself by listening to it. You
Yeah. No, 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 no.
you know, it is
No, none of
sometimes
that.
music is like, so it's so evocative and it does this thing, and I'm like, okay, I just want to make sure that I'm not like casting a negative witch spell on myself by listening to
No, definitely not. Definitely not.
it. I actually I worked on this after this album. I already have the first single for the next album, you know, that I worked on with James K Ultra.
Yeah, nice.
And it was so we had this song called Witch's Curse. And then I had this woman friend of mine, singer, Helena has got this beautiful voice to sing these kind of witchy backgrounds, you know. And I was like, well, let me look up some spells and stuff like this, that. And then I was just like, I don't want to mess with that, you know. I don't, that's all I need is to like cast a spell with my own song, like on myself, you know, like I have enough problems. You
Yeah, there you go. No, it's interesting because when I was kind of trying to decide what to do with the imagery and everything else, and kind of wanting to have a little bit of that witchy
know?
occult vibe,
Mm.
and the name Wayward actually comes from the original text of Shakespeare's Macbeth.
Oh, is that right?
And
Okay.
so in Macbeth, you have the Weird sisters, and they're these witches.
Yeah. The
And in
Scottish
the
play, we should say,
yeah,
without, because
yeah,
I'm a theater person, so you have to say the Scottish play. You can't
the
say the
the
name.
Scottish play, yeah.
It's bad
But in
luck.
the original text, they were called the Wayward sisters, spelled
Oh, is
with an
that
E.
right? Oh,
So yeah,
interesting.
so I was like,
Oh,
I'm a
that's cool.
theater person
Yeah.
also, so it was perfect. It was like kind of the witchy feel, a little bit of a
Yeah.
theater background. Yeah, so very cool.
It's interesting too. Again, well, I was raised like I guess I was raised in religion. I guess we're all in the US, you're like raised in religion, whether you know it or not. You know, it's kind of subversive, you know.
Yeah.
But and I was always a little like nervous of witches and pagan things, rituals, da 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 da. And now I'm like completely coming around in a circle and being like, I think this is actually what we're supposed to be doing, you know, like in nature, you know, finding this
Yep.
spirituality in nature, you know, in our energies, in our all these kind of things that are kind of respected in something like you know, Wicca or something like that. I'm now I'm like, oh, that's like it's kind of like this spirituality that people it's like becoming hip, I guess, you know, to be on
Right.
this I noticed that it's one of the religions you can pick is like spirituality, you know. I saw
Yep.
there's been a couple situations where you could choose religions on a form or something like this, and one of them was like spirituality. We're like, oh, that's interesting, you know. But it's kind of like it basically is like, you know, a Wicca religion or like a pagan religion of like nature and when you strip away all the kind of religious ideas and kind of these elements to control, you know, us all. I don't know.
Right. Yeah. I
I'm
mean,
going off
you
on a
got like
tangent. Yeah.
totally. No, you have the indigenous people in America who it was all about nature and everything was connected, and
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
that's the
Yeah,
spirituality.
yeah,
Totally agree. Totally
yeah.
agree.
I love that. So I'm totally into that now. So
Yeah.
when you came to it also seems like this project too, that did you like address it as a whole EP? Like it almost sounds like you envisioned this thing all at once. Was it like that, or were you just kind of exploring song by song?
I mean, I started out like exploring song by song. So I wrote Light first.
Mm.
And it was really just more of like this exercise in like I was really pushing harder in music theory and trying to like learn different modes and the minor keys and all these types of
Okay.
things.
Yeah,
And it
interesting.
was
Yeah.
really more of just like hey, I want to write this song in
Mm.
this particular key, in this particular mode. And then I was like,
Yeah.
okay, this is cool. This is good, And then so I started writing that song. Um, and then the ideas just started flowing. And I
Mm.
wouldn't say it all came together real quick as kind of the full EP, but I started kind of quickly realizing how I wanted to go from, intense and heavy to
Mm.
like pull it back and get a little more soft and a little more moody, and then bring it right back to right in your face. I
Mm.
mean that came about pretty early on, but not from the beginning for sure.
Mm. That's interesting. Yeah, because it really is such like a cohesive thing, you know, the whole EP. I think you did a great job on that.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
So let's talk about dark. You said you started with light. Was dark the reaction song to write after you wrote light, or where did that one come in?
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, I wrote light and then I wrote dark right after. And really the whole idea behind dark was again, it was more of like this point in time for me where I was working through like music theory and getting more
Mm,
into it.
mm.
And anybody like you and I who are probably fans of Spinal Tap, right? I was like, I need to write a song in D minor because it's the saddest of all keys, right?
Exactly. I
And
did it too. I've done it too. Yeah.
but I added in the harmonic, the D minor harmonic, because
Mm.
that's like the spookiest of all keys, right? So that
Ah,
was like
okay.
the beginning idea, but I really wanted to just kind of start out with this kind of heavy shoegazy guitar that's just like this wall of sound in this kind of spooky D minor situation.
Mm.
And that's where it started to just kind of like pull it into this idea of this really dark feel to the song. Um, and that's really where I started with it, obviously wanting to bring in some synths to give it a little bit of that witch house vibe, um,
And is it
along
true,
with the
dark?
heavy music.
Is it true that dark in the beginning was actually called "Lick My Love Pump"?
Yes, you're exactly right. Had to change that one. Uh, so good. So good.
In I'm in Denmark. I don't know if I said that, but Spinal Tap never reached Denmark. Isn't that
Oh,
weird?
wow. Okay.
Like Danish
Yeah.
people don't know Spinal Tap. I just feel like what? Like I don't even like. Can I stay here?
Right.
It's just like a
Perfect.
total disconnect. Like if you don't understand Spinal Tap, like there's no point in us trying to get to know each other.
Right. Right. Like, do you understand any music reference
Yeah.
if you don't know Spinal Tap, right?
It made me want to like do some kind of film festival here or something, or open a theater and be like, American movies you have to watch if you are
Oh yeah.
really going to follow us, you know, culturally. Like they seem to follow Americans culturally like every couple years. They're like a couple years behind in Denmark, and that of course, I'd be burned at the stake. Speaking of witches, if anyone heard me say that, but that's what I see. They worship America, and yet they are constantly criticizing America and imitating America, but a couple years behind. That's what I think. It's a real mess.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the proof is in
Yeah.
the I don't know what Spinal Tap is pudding. You got to do that.
Yep. For sure.
I really love in dark this the heaviness to the. I'm assuming it's synth parts in there, but I don't know. It could be affected guitar or something too. That kind of low drone. Are
Hmm.
those synths?
So that's guitars.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
guitars. Okay, yeah.
Very reverbed and delayed guitars.
Oh wow. Okay, yeah.
And really just in a very straightforward eighth notes, just letting it kind of expand and be
Oh
this wall of
wow.
sound. Yeah. Yep.
Oh, that's cool. Wow. Okay. Um,
Yep.
yeah, but I love like how heavy sounding that is, and it was like accentuated by having this almost like toy drum machine part, that like
Mhm.
or whatever. Because it was such a great kind of device to use, I think, because it just made this the mood that much heavier. The
Right.
fact that, yeah, I really love that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I appreciate that. Yeah. And I think, what I really try to do in Dark and what I really try to do across the EP is have this juxtaposition between really heavy kind of dark feel, and then it
Mm,
just goes to like the simplest thing that you can think of for
mm,
music of just like a snap, right?
mm,
And just goes into this snap and into this like light light bit with some grungy bells for a minute and then back
mhm,
into the dark again. And just I'm always trying in this EP and in that song to not just have it feel like it's this 3 minutes of, always pushing the same thing, but
mm.
really jump back and forth between
Yeah,
softer, heavier, and
but
change that emotion.
yeah, but also like both parts like equally beautiful,
Mhm.
when you're shifting gears and stuff. It's like it's just like kind of a new beauty opens up, which is cool instead of like, I mean, you can like fall, I guess you could fall victim to just like making some like really kind of aggressive noise or something and then do
Mhm.
more beautiful parts, but it's kind of like this like heavy beauty and like a lighter beauty or more melodic thing, and I think
Yeah,
that's really cool. But
yeah.
I asked if
Thank you.
maybe you could read the lyrics to Dark because I couldn't quite make out all of them. Do you have them there?
Yeah, yeah. I can go through it. So, in I guess like the verse part, it's really just spoken word,
Yeah.
single words, all kind of religious based. So,
Mm,
the first half, it just says wood,
mm,
nails, bread, blood, kind of like your
mm,
basic Christian
yeah.
imagery and tenets. And then the
Yeah.
last half says lies, control, fear, dark.
Mm,
And it's just my feeling toward, these things that we're told that are these good things that are going to help us, uh, live how we're told we need to.
mm,
But at the end of the day, my thought and feeling is it's for control and it's
mm,
fear and thinking through in my mind the ages and
mm,
a lot of dark things have happened because of religion.
mm,
If you're talking about the Crusades or if you're
yeah.
talking about, you know, what's happening in Israel and Palestine and Gaza,
Mm,
I mean,
yeah.
religion is a
Mm,
lot of dark things happen.
hmm. That's for sure. Yeah. Yeah. Almost all the trouble there is in the world, really.
Mhm.
I
And
guess
then,
it's used as an
oh,
excuse,
yeah,
but
yeah.
I always get
And
behind
then
that.
later on in the lighter part of the song, there's just a piece that says joy for the zealot, agony for the dregs.
Mm,
And, it's this whole idea for me of, if you're doing what you're told, you're going to have joy, and there's no other way to have joy.
mm,
And if you're not doing what you're told, you are the dregs and you are going to live in agony.
mm,
Um, and and I hate that.
yeah.
So I put it in there.
Yeah. But it's too, it's like, even if you do what you're told, you're still fucked because there's just the general idea that, this thing of like, sin and, we are sinful and we are, it's just like the shame pile on, from the very start. Like, hey
Yep.
kid, come here. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, this is Sunday school. Okay. You're fucked.
Yeah.
You should be
Yeah.
shameful of your ideas. Be shameful of your own body. Don't think about other people's bodies. That's also shameful. Shame, shame, shame.
Yep. Yep.
you know,
Shame, fear, and if you leave, it's even worse. You
yeah.
got to stay
I mean,
here
really,
and be guilty.
I hope the
Yeah.
world gets to the point where they actually, there are trials for like crimes against humanity, for like the Catholic Church or whomever else you want to put in there, because it is crimes against humanity, your basic humanity of like, hey,
Yep.
you got to feel bad about yourself from the very start and continue to feel bad about yourself and just keep gunning for like doing good things because, if you're lucky, you know, you can overcome it all and get to a good place. Otherwise, you're gonna burn in hell, you know. Just like, oy.
Yep. Yep.
um, I was
We're
just
we're
thinking
going
too, you
we're
know,
going deep today.
yeah, well, why not? Um, but it's like this like insidious way I find. Even you think, oh well, I didn't grow up in that religious a way, you know. I think of myself, but I did get an award. I got a Bible that I was awarded to because I never missed a day of Sunday school, you know. So it's like I'm there all the time, and I got a present that was like a Bible. I can see it now too because it was like the 70s, and it's like a Good News Bible that had like a blue jean cover, you know, like it's hip. It's hip to be,
Nice.
yeah, the good news, you know.
Nice. Yep.
But then also, you know, growing up in the 70s, you know, it was like I loved Jesus Christ Superstar. You know, I was like, I was in a family where I have five older sisters that the oldest one is like a player piano. She can sit down and start playing the piano. And so all the time she was playing the piano, especially at holidays when we gather together. And my other sisters, they go immediately into three-part harmony. They can sing harmony on any song. But then I was left with, you know, singing the male parts. So I got to sing Jesus and, you know, Judas just to confuse myself
Nice. Nice.
even more, you know. But then it's like, you think, oh, well, it's just a rock musical. It's just that. But it's like, it's that cultural thing of like ingrained and all these different ways, and the puritanical just ideas of America too. I can see too, and now that I like live in Europe, you know, where you can like go to, you know, we live by the water here. You can just go over by the water, and half the women are topless and just like enjoying being in the sun and swimming or whatever. And in the U.S., it was like puritanical control,
Yep.
police, you're gonna get arrested for that, you know,
Some-
step aside,
Yep.
step into this
Something's
cage.
wrong here.
Yeah.
Something's wrong here. Yeah.
And it just
Yep.
makes it worse and worse and worse till you're just like, ah, the human body, you know. I mean, of
Yep.
course we're making, you know, manufacturing serial killers and rapists and everything else with this idea that, you know, the body must be hidden, and you know, it's totally insane.
Yeah. Yeah.
um but yeah, that's interesting. Where are you going to go from here with this project? I'm curious. Is that it seems like you've kind of like, this seems very complete in what you want to do. Have you thought about like where to go from here?
Yeah. Thinking about some new things. I think I've got some covers coming that I'm going to
Oh,
start working on.
cool. Oh, wow.
So yeah,
I'm
excited
excited to
about
hear
that.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, there's probably another EP there. It's funny that you were saying that like it felt like you could listen to this EP and put it to a film.
Mm,
I'm a big horror film fan.
okay.
And, I kind of want to just keep going with another feel like that of,
Mm.
hey, this is the soundtrack to a horror film that hasn't been made yet, you know?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of,
So,
like or like the remake of Suspiria or something. You know, you could just like
right, yep.
lay it right in there.
So yeah, I think there's more there. So this EP is complete, it's done. I definitely have probably some like cover singles that I'm gonna start working on.
Oh
Um
wow, I'm very
and
intrigued by that. I'm excited to hear with the same kind of vibe, like the
yeah,
kind
yeah,
of the
yeah.
same Wayward vibe kind of take
Yeah,
on it.
definitely.
Oh wow, yeah.
Definitely. I think you're gonna be excited about one that I've started on. So
Oh cool.
I'll I'll keep you I'll keep you up to speed on it.
Awesome, awesome. Um, and what about any thoughts on like playing out live in any way or taking it to a performance level?
I mean, I'd love to. I'd love to. I've thought about it. I mean, the toughest thing for me is I live in an area where there is a dearth of like-minded musicians,
Mm,
which is the reason why this whole thing came together, and I just started kind of doing it myself.
interesting, man. Well, where are you, by the
Because
way, exactly? I know it's mountain time, but
yeah, I'm in Utah, in the United
Utah. Oh,
States.
wow,
Yeah,
interesting. Wow.
yeah. Um, and so yeah, I mean, I think you you know this. We're not young artists. We're new to the
Mm,
music scene, but it was always this thing of like you had to have a band and you had to have all the players um and do all that. And
mm,
it's been really nice to be able to have
mm,
recording technology, have music
totally.
technology get to the point where you can just get your vision out there yourself.
Exactly.
Because for me, it's just there's finding anybody to write this kind of music and
Mm,
produce this kind of music together where I am. It's just not going to happen.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So playing live, I've thought about it. It would. I'm trying to decide if it would cheapen the feel or not if it's just me. But you've got this whole
Okay.
like wall, this whole thing going on with all this noise and all this sound and everything else, and then it's just like one person standing up there, right? I mean, I think
Yeah.
that's more
It's challenging
it's
for sure.
more
Yeah.
yeah, and it's more okay now, but I'm kind of like an old school guy
Yeah.
who if I went to a concert 20 years ago and I was like,
Yeah.
why is this guy just playing stuff on his laptop and like that's
Right.
cheap. I don't like that. So I have to maybe
Yeah.
wrap my head around that a little bit first.
Yeah. Well, I would love to go. I mean, I am old school, old and old school, but I would love to see it, man, because I think it's too, it's almost like it can almost be like a DJ, almost like a DJ vibe or something, but then also you could put some really cool visuals to it,
Yep.
and to like enhance the what you want to say, and that would be cool. Yeah, but that would yeah, that would blow the doors off the Mormons there, that's for sure.
Yeah, we gotta figure it out. We gotta figure it out.
You're not gonna get yourself a couple of wives though.
Just one. Just
Collect,
one.
collecting wives on tour.
Yep.
Wayward tour.
Yep.
Are you still allowed to marry more than one person anymore? Or no?
Uh, I mean, there are groups that do,
There are groups that all right. So but it
but I
is
mean,
legal in
it's
Utah though? Or
no,
it
no.
has to be like
Yeah.
undercover. Yeah. All right.
Yep. For sure. For sure. Yep.
So interesting, man.
Yep.
Wow. Okay, now this makes even more sense where I'm assuming this is the particular group that we could be talking about when it comes to religious
Yeah. Yeah.
fervor. Yeah.
Yes.
That
Very,
that makes a lot of
very
sense.
much.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Wow. Okay. Interesting. Well, I'm just so happy that I can go back and listen to this EP and not be putting a curse on myself, man.
Oh yeah. Yeah. No, no curses intended. So just listen and have a good time.
And I mean that as the highest compliment, because it does transport you, it takes you somewhere, you're like, whoa, this is cool, am I getting, and is my third eye being opened up for good or evil?
On- Only for the best in the
Yeah.
darkest way.
What is he trying to get into me in the theta state? Well, congrats, man. I really love the EP, and yeah, and I'm super intrigued by what you're gonna do uh cover wise.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
That's
coming.
that's very intriguing. Yeah. And
Yeah.
but thanks for doing this, man.
Yeah.
I
Of
appreciate
course.
it. It was
Thanks for
great
having.
to get to know you a bit and know where you're coming from a bit, Super
Yeah.
cool. And keep fighting the good fight there in Mormon land.
Yeah. Thanks. I appreciate you asking me to come on. This has been fun.
Yeah, well, let's do it again, man.